What's going on, guys? I'm your host Jared Bronstein, and we probably have the most IO story ever here for you today. Make sure you guys are subscribed, click that bell so you can be notified when we post more videos, and follow the IO team on Instagram. We got links down below. So now we need to tell you guys all about this story, which is still developing and has me extremely confused as well. Long story short, Christine Barnett and her now ex-husband Michael Barnett were arrested and released on bail after being charged with leaving their newly adopted child in Lafayette, Indiana in 2013 when they moved to Canada with their family and broke off contact. The story has two sides, however, so we'll go from the beginning. The end kind of leaves us gasping for more because the investigation is still ongoing, or I guess I should say the trial at this point. But here goes. In 2010, Christine and Michael Barnett agreed to an emergency adoption of Natalia Grace, who was believed to be 6 years old at the time. Or so they thought. As far as they were concerned, when they went to the adoption center located in Florida, Natalia had been in the US for 2 years, had a Ukrainian birth certificate that read September 4th, 2003, and needed to find a new home immediately after her previous adoptive parents suddenly gave her up for an undisclosed reason. Christine explained, I quote, "Out of compassion for their situation, I didn't want to press them for information on what had gone wrong. Natalia was extremely nervous. You could see she was going to need a lot of support and care. We did notice immediately in the parking lot that she couldn't walk. There was nothing in the paperwork stating that." End quote. It turns out Natalia has a form of dwarfism, more specifically spondyloepiphyseal. Like any good parent, Michael and Christine showed their new addition to the family with love, taking her for ice cream and even going to Disney World to help her get more comfortable with her family. When they went to the beach for the first time as a family, Christine and Michael were shocked at what Natalia did. I quote, "The boys rushed into the water and Natalia wanted to be carried into the ocean. Michael and myself were physically exhausted, so we asked her to wait just a few minutes. With that, she just got up and ran into the ocean. I remember looking at Mike and thinking, what's going on? She couldn't walk a second ago and now she just got up and ran." End quote. Things went from weird to, well, just absurd when Christine gave the apparent 6-year-old a bath. According to Christine, I quote, "I was giving her a bath and I noticed that she had full pubic hair. I was so shocked. I had just been told she was a 6-year-old and it was very apparent she wasn't." End quote. Yeah, that's no. As the days went on, Christine saw more and more evidence that her and her family may have been duped by an adult pretending to be a child, given her condition. According to Christine, Natalia would use sophisticated vocabulary way beyond her years, didn't like dolls or toys, and wanted to be in the company of teenage girls, not little children. She also didn't have a Ukrainian accent and couldn't understand her native tongue when a Ukrainian family friend came over and spoke to her in Ukrainian. Christine then started to find bloody clothing in her trash, evidence that Natalia was having her period and trying to hide it because she was in fact older than initially believed. Anyone see the movie The Orphan? Anyway, following the blood incident, Christine went to her family physician who ordered a bone density test to really determine Natalia's age. The results determined the girl had to be at least 14 or older, so Christine swapped her childlike clothing for clothing more appropriate for a young teen. This is when things really started to take a turn for the worse. Apparently within a year of being adopted by the family, according to Christine, their newly adopted daughter tried to harm the family more than once. As seen on a baby monitor, when Christine left the room, Natalia attacked a baby boy. In 2011, she was smearing bodily fluids on the walls and making death threats to the family. Christine even claimed she had trouble sleeping because Natalia would stand over them in bed. She had to hide all sharp objects out of fear she would try to kill them by stabbing them, and once even caught Natalia trying to poison her coffee. Christine said, I quote, "I saw her putting chemicals, bleach, Windex, something like that in my coffee, and I asked her, what are you doing? She said, I am trying to poison you." End quote. Following these incidents, Natalia would spend about a year being treated for various psychiatric disorders, spending between days and weeks at the St. Vincent Indianapolis Stress Center. In 2012, after Natalia allegedly tried to drag her adoptive mother onto an electric fence, she was sent to a state-run psychiatric unit under supervision long-term because she was considered a threat to others. During her treatment there, it's believed she told doctors she is much older than she appears. In January of 2012, a clinical therapist claims Natalia said she was 18. The family's primary physician, Andrew McLaren, dated a letter in March 2012 claiming Natalia's 2003 birth date was inaccurate and that she made a career out of pretending to be a young child, fooling the family as well as himself. In June of the same year, she told staff at LaRue Carter Hospital in Indianapolis that she tried to kill her family members and felt no remorse, describing it as fun. That same month, the family applied to have Natalia's age corrected on her birth certificate so she could be treated as an adult and receive proper psychiatric treatment. After going through court, it was determined by Judge Gerald S. Moore that the family's allegations were true, and Natalia's official date of birth was changed from September 4th, 2003 to September 4th, 1989. making her legally go from 8 years old to 22 years old. That same year, the police started questioning if she committed immigration fraud, but the case was sent to the FBI and ICE, which officials believed was never really looked into. Natalia was released from the psychiatric ward in August of 2012 and placed under the supervision of Aspire, Indiana. Even though she was legally an adult, Christine and Michael found her an apartment and helped her get a social security number, food stamps, an ID, and apply for benefits. Natalia caused problems at her new residence and was evicted, which is when the Barnetts once again found her a new apartment, this time in Lafayette, Tippecanoe County. Christine stayed in contact with Natalia despite all the stuff she put her family through, and even made a plan to enroll her in school to help her get a high school diploma. Christine explained, I quote, "I said I've been taking care of you as an adult. I will do one more year of financial aid, the exact same thing I'm doing for all of my children. I co-signed the lease and paid for the rent up front for a year. I did everything you would do when you send your child off to college. I helped her with her groceries and bought furniture at Target for her. I was optimistic. She had a concrete plan for her life. She had food stamps, she had social security income for the rest of her things. She had demonstrated she was able to live." End quote. Now this was in 2013 when Christine also released a book about her son, Jacob, who suffers from autism but is considered a physics prodigy. That same year the family moved to Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, so a 13-year-old Jacob could go to school at the Parameter Institute for Theoretical Physics. When the family moved, they left Natalia, who was legally 22 at the time, in her new apartment. At this point, Christine claims she lost contact with Natalia and feared she stopped taking her medication and was posing as a child for a new unsuspecting family. Christine did, however, get a letter in the mail saying that Natalia changed Michael from the beneficiary of her social security income to someone else. Now here's where things get crazy. The Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Department claims the family abandoned their underage daughter, claiming that a Dr. Riggs at the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital carried out a bone density test on Natalia in June 2010 that revealed she was approximately 8 years old. Another test, which occurred 2 years later at the same facility, claimed she was around 11. I know 2 years from 8 is 10, but maybe it was 2.5 years. It was approximate, so who knows. Regardless, in 2014, Natalia actually went to the cops and claimed her parents had abandoned her and moved to Canada. In that same year, Michael left Christine, moved back to Indiana, and remarried. Why they waited 5 years to act on this case is still undetermined. But after they visited Michael for about 3 hours on September 5th, 2019, he allegedly admitted that he knew all along Natalia was indeed a minor, and that Christine told Natalia to tell other people she looks young but was actually 22. However, Michael's lawyer claims this information is inaccurate, saying, I quote, "The police affidavit is not true. Michael never said he knew Natalia was a child. Police knocked on Michael's door, and he spoke to them for 3 hours without an attorney present. The statements he gave were clearly taken out of context. My client and I have absolutely no idea why the district attorney has chosen to level these accusations against my client and Christine. The affidavit has been very selective in the medical reports it has chosen to cite." End quote. As of now, the whereabouts of Natalia are currently unknown. It's presumed she's about 30 years old, and the last time she was seen was by Michael in 2016 at a Tippecanoe Circuit Court when another couple tried to legally become Natalia's guardians. After it was objected by the Barretts, who claimed she was really an adult, the couple dropped their guardianship petition. Now here's where things get even crazier, as if this story wasn't wacky enough. In court, when it was proven that Natalia was actually 22, the lead investigator who's charging Michael and Christine with crimes against a child was there when the decision was made. So why he's trying to move forward with his allegations is beyond anyone. The state of Indiana is trying to charge this couple with crimes against a child, even though the state's same courts have determined Natalia is most definitely not a child. Christine surrendered to authorities on September 19th and was released after posting a $5,500 bond. Michael did the same thing the day before, posting a $5,000 bond to be released. He was in court on September 24th to state his case, but as of now the investigation, or I guess trial, is ongoing. And that wraps this one up, guys. I'm not going to do any comments because this video was insanely long. You guys gotta let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed and ring that bell. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein, and we'll see you guys next time, and of course update you with any information that comes out with this story.